Hi, in this video I'm going to be demonstrating how to change the fuel pump. This is the fuel pump, here it is, and I'm only going to be changing the fuel pump so the pump can be changed in the back of the car, in the back seat, and I'll walk you through the steps. And I've just got an extra seal. The reason being is I'm just concerned that when I open up the housing, the seal might be damaged. So I have a spare seal just in case. I'll just show you the part numbers of the parts that I'm using. This is the seal from BMW. This is the pump, motor service, and this is the model number. Now, if possible, have your tank at the lowest possible level. As you can see, it says only 8 kilometers. Now, I know that is not easy to get to because fuel pump may just fail catastrophically, but in my case, it was starting to fail. So I just waited till the tank was very low and then I started the repair. Now, this is an E65 BMW and it's quite similar in other BMWs. And all I'm going to do is remove this back seat. Now, if yours has the comfort seats that extend back and forward, then you'll just be removing that part of the seat, well, just the seat. Because this is the regular model, the whole seat system comes out. So I just pull there and then I grab here. I pull there and I just let the seat belts feed back through the holes and I can actually remove the whole seat. Right, now on this vehicle the fuel pump is on the right hand side, so it is the passenger right hand side. Now this may seem quite clean for the fact that, you know, maybe the seat hasn't been taken out for many years. What I did is I took a blower and I blew it out. You'll find you'll have lots of sediment and sweet wrappers and all those things, and then it is cleaner for you to work. Right, so I'm working over here, so I'm just going to peel this dampening material back, and now I just need to open these 4 size 10 nuts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blower and blow this out just to remove any dust. Right, so I've got to remove 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to remove this one first. It's got 2 clips on the side, which you depress and then pull it upwards. Right, so I've just clamped it on either side, pinching it, and now I can slide this up. If it's not coming out, don't force it. It might snap the neck here. So I'm just guiding it. Now I'm going to release this one. Put my 2 fingers on either side. So what I did is I put my finger there, my other finger there, squeezed it, and then I slided it up. Now I've got space to slide this back. I've got to pull this back, and there comes the power. Right, so I've effectively removed the connectors, and now I can remove this metal cover. There is a specific BMW tool which you can use. I'm just going to tap it out with a hammer. So I'm now going to just mop up any petrol that has spilt here. I want this always dry, and also it's a good time to just remove any sediment here. So I'm just going to blow it with my blower. One of the reasons why they want you to use the BMW tool is if you're tapping this with a hammer, if there's any spark, you could catch this alight. So be very careful, and if you can actually wrap this so that no petrol comes out of there. Right, now what I can do is I can tap here to untwist this. Now there is a special tool that BMW have, and one of the reasons why they want you to use the tool is because you mustn't have any sparks when you're hitting this, because obviously you can catch a light because it's flammable here with this excess petrol. So you need to rotate this to get this cover out. Now, it's a good idea if you tap it in different places, and ideally, if you could get 2 people to hammer this, one there and one there, then this would be easy to get out. But because I'm here alone, this is a little bit more tricky. It is moving, but slowly. Right, now at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe again. I don't want anything to fall in to the tank. I don't want any dirt, so everywhere around here is actually been wiped. Right, in order to make it easier for myself, I've just wedged this little pipe here under that recess over there, and the other pipe I've just wedged over there out of the way. Now I'm pulling this out very gently. Notice there's two wires. That is for the float. So over here, this is for the float, and I don't need these, so I'm going to remove this now, which will allow me to get access to the pump. So I'm just putting that to the side. And there's the pump and the housing. There's like two press clips, one there and one there. I just need to squeeze them together and the whole fitting will come out. On the left there is an O-ring. It's like a tube with an O-ring. So I've just got to be careful not to lose that O-ring. So I'm going to put my hand in here. Notice how empty this tank is. So that's very helpful that the tank is so empty. You might need to siphon some of the fuel out. It'll be much easier if there isn't much petrol in there, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that with my hand and just, there, it's come out. So I can now just pull it vertically upwards. Notice how this pipe here is threaded in there. It kind of does a loop around. So just be cognizant of that. Now, in order to pull this out, I'm just going to go to another camera. Right, so what I'm doing is I'm pulling this out gently. I'm not forcing anything. Here it comes. Just don't want to damage anything and don't want to drop it back in. Right, so there we go. There's the pump housing and there's that O-ring I was talking about just over there. And there's the pump. So I need to change that pump for this pump over here. So now I'm going to go and take this onto my table. Keeping in mind that when you're pulling this out, the pump still has petrol in. So just be aware that some petrol might come out from this pump. There we go, there's some petrol coming out. Right, here is the old pump, here is the new pump. Now the first thing I need to do is remove these electrical wires. So I've got to remove that, and then I've got to release this clamp, pull out this pipe, and then I've got to remove the pump from this housing, and then I can insert the new ones. I'm going to remove these electrical wires. Right, that's done. Now I just need to release this clamp. Right, the clamp is now off. Now I can slide this pipe off. And all I'm doing is I'm twisting it as I slide it. All right, in the meantime, I'm going to remove this because I don't want to damage it while I'm fiddling here. So I just removed that. And now the only thing that's attached to this housing is this pipe, which I'm now going to twist off. And the best way to do it is to keep twisting as you pull in. Right, so I've removed the pipe. Now all I need to do is get the pump out of this housing. Now if you have a look at the housing, you'll see these rubber dampeners. What that's for is the pump is very vigorous. So as you can see, the pump can actually move in the housing there. So that's what these rubber dampeners are doing. So all I need to do now is slide this pump out and then insert the new one. Now there is a filter attached at the bottom. Now if you have a look at the new one, that has to be slided off here. So I have to just remove this filter. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a screwdriver and I'm inserting it there and I'm just turning, just gently. And I don't know if you notice the filter is slowly lifting, but I don't want to damage the housing. So I'm just doing it bit by bit, just to, yeah, there. So the filter is actually coming off and I can't just go like that as it'll snap. I want it to slide off, but I also need to just be patient here. It's going at an angle, that's right. Yes, that's right. There we go. So the filter is now off and now I can remove the old pump and put in the new one. Okay, so what I've done is I've put a screwdriver in each side of these clamps and now I'm just going to push it through. So I've just lifted each one and now I'm going to push the pump through. There we go. Right, so there's the old pump. And now I'm going to insert this. Can only go one way. If you notice, it's offset. This thing is offset, so if you see there, that's wrong. So if I go like that, yes, that's close, and then that's right. It actually guides me to the correct orientation. So all I need to do now is press down. There we go. It's clipped in place. Now the first thing I'm going to do is put the pipe on because that was the most difficult thing to get off. And I don't want the filter here while I'm fiddling. I don't want to snap it. So I'm going to put the pipe on right now. Right, so I have the pipe and I'm going to put the pipe back on here. Okay, pipe's on. Before I fasten this clip, I'm just checking the orientation of the pipe. So the pipe is going to go upwards so that I know that the clip can be fastened in this orientation. If I fasten the clip in the wrong orientation, this is going to be facing down. So I need to first check the way this is going to be in the tank. So that seems about right. Right, so now I can fasten here. Just tightening this clip. All right, that's very tight. Now I actually reused this clip. Now I do have these type, but I'm worried about these rusting. So I'm not going to use that. I just tried to reuse this one. For this purpose, it's actually extremely tight. And I just reworked the steel here and I'm quite convinced I can't even turn this pipe here. So I don't even, in fact, it's so tight, I don't even want to make it tight. I'm worried that I might damage this pipe. And now all I'm going to do is attach these wires. Now these wires are different lengths, so it becomes obvious which is which. Okay, and now it's time to put the filter on, and I'm going to put the ring first. The ring I'm going to put first. There's the ring, and then I'm going to put the filter. Notice there's a little lip there, and there's a space there. So it goes like this. There we go. Right. Now I'm going to press it down a little bit, offering a pressure just in the middle there. Right, it is now seated, and I'm now going to install this back on the vehicle. Right, now what I need to do is put this back into the tank, and I'm going to quickly just put this pipe back in its place. Right, so this is going to go back into the tank. Now this is going to go inside like that. Notice the pipe orientation, it's got a loop there, and this is kind of on top, so it must be loose. If you're finding that this thing wants to stay like that, well then you've tightened this pipe incorrectly. So all I need to do now is make sure that pipe is in there. It is. I've returned the pipe, check the filter, and now I'm going to drop this in, but I just want to bring your attention to this over here. This has to slide into the little tube over there, so I'm going to put that in like that. So I need to get this pipe in now, otherwise it's almost impossible to do this. Right, there we go. So now I've got the pipe in, and now I can see what I'm doing here. Right, so I just need to squeeze the two sides, line it up. Now there are defined slots here, so some force is required, and it is quite creaky, and that creaking sound is a bit off-putting because one thinks that they're breaking it. But if you use that pipe with that O-ring as the guide, then at least you can tell which way this has to go. And just depress these two clips on the side. And I just support it on with my hand on the side there. Right, now this can only go in one way. Right, I'm just showing you a close-up, some things to be aware of. There's a piece of plastic that has to slide between the tank's plastic. Then if I'm pressing this in and sliding it in over there, what's sometimes stopping me is the formation of the bottom of the tank is blocking this side over here. So all I did is I took my hand and I just supported the housing a bit to the side, and in doing that it slid in. I know it's in place. This clip has seated itself, and the one on the opposite side has also seated itself. Now don't forget to connect the floats wire. This can only go one way. Right, so all I need to do now is return this, and there is a seal here which I'm going to replace, although it doesn't necessarily need replacement. The seal is still in good working order. In fact, the old seal and the new seal are almost identical, but because I bought a seal, I'm going to change it. Just make sure when you put it in, these float wires are not tight. It can only go back in one orientation. There's a little lip there and a groove, and then over there you can see there's a lip and a space. Right, now I can put the metal cover on. Now I just use some soft soap just so that it doesn't seize. This is just a bit of plumber's soap that you use on pipes, and I'm just putting it on the side here so that it's easier to put this on. This is just soft soap, pipe lubricating soap. Now before I put the cover on, I'm just going to get these pipes that I've put here. It'll be harder to get once that steel rim, the ring is in place. And there's one over here. Right, so I'll hold my finger down here and I actually rotate this in the opposite direction. This is loosening it. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm trying to find the point where it seats. There. So that's the first place where I can now start tightening. Right, now I can start tightening this. Right, so this was sitting over there when I started the repair, so I'm going to consider that the tight spot. I'm going to move it maybe 1 more centimeter. Right, so it's in the same place it was when I started the repair, so that's tight. All I'm going to do is just tap it, just so that it sits in the middle. And now I'm going to wipe these connectors. Right, I'm going to return the electrical connector. I'm just spraying a contact cleaner in there. This is what it looks like. If you don't have a contact cleaner, omit this step. It's not important. I just do it as a matter of habit. Right, now I just seat that and this one. Okay, the technique I follow is this one is out here, then there's one that's got to come through there and one through here. I put my finger here and I actually guide it. There it comes. Now I'm leaning it at an angle. Now I'm pushing it back. Make sure there's no tags or anything on the bottom. Sometimes some material finds its way here and you've got a flap of material. Now that it's in place, I push down, down, down. You should hear a definitive click. Right, now there's very little petrol in this car, but I'm going to start it nevertheless so you can see that the pump is working, and then I'll go and fill up the tank. Right, when you do fill up the tank, make sure that you haven't disturbed the float. On this particular car, the float is separate to the pump, and some BMWs, the float has to be removed in order to get to the pump. This car is actually much easier than those cars. Alright, so thanks for watching and cheers.